Okay. Thank you for inviting me to this conference on an important issue, the maintenance and the pavement preservation and recycling, and also to this nice event and place as well. My speech today is about the Swedish, the major changes that has taken place during the last years in the Swedish transport sector. I will focus on that, explaining what we did and how we shaped the multimodal agency, the Swedish Transport Administration, what issues there were, what challenges, and what lessons learned from that experience. And I will give you a short introduction to the Swedish Transport Administration, and I will finish with what we have in focus right now. It's a long-term national plan, a multimodal plan for the Swedish transport system for 2018 until 2029. But to introduce this subject, I will give you a short background in terms of governance. And we are governed by the transport policy goals set by the Swedish government. And in Sweden, we have a small ministry, the Ministry of Enterprise and Innovation, and then we have several government agencies to carry out the politics and the policies, and the administrations, of course. And we have this transport policy goal that guides the direction for all government authorities, and they are also a support for the regional and the local authorities in planning and construction. And as you see, they include all actors in the transport sector. They include all modes of transport. They have a functional goal of availability and also consideration goals on safety, on environment and on health issues. So that is the basis for the transport sector. And this is what happened. This is the major organizational change that took place in 2010 in Sweden. Before that, we had traditional road administration, we had a traditional railway administration, we had maritime and air administrations, and we had multimodal authorities on research and development and on analysis and statistics. But otherwise, there was a traditional single modal administration, really. And after 2010, the government, the reform, shaped a single multimodal regulatory body. It shaped a multimodal transport agency, and that is the Swedish Transport Administration, where I come from. And also we have a group of state-owned limited companies who makes the planning and the construction of railways and roads in Sweden, and also the consulting companies. And at the same time when this was introduced, or a couple of years later, we also had a new economic planning system for the transport sector in Sweden, with 10 to 12-year long-term plans introduced. And we also had a new process for the spatial planning. So there was also two major institutional changes that was introduced a few years after this organizational change. And what were the purposes of this multimodal administration then? First of all, the government wanted a multimodal approach. They wanted a planning, especially a planning that focused on all means of transportation. They wanted more focus on customer orientation, a customer-orientated approach. They wanted strong regional ties. They wanted a good connection with the planning authorities on regional level and municipality level. And they wanted, of course, a more efficient organization. And they also wanted to support innovation. They wanted to improve productivity in the construction industry. And the construction industry is a quite a conservative industry, and in Sweden there was a problem of lack of involvement of productivity in the industry. So this was one way of meeting that challenge then. Some of the issues and challenges when forming this multimodal administration was that there were high expectations both amongst employees in the former single modal administrations, and there were also high expectations among other actors and stakeholders in society to solve the issue of planning an effective transport system. And there was, of course, as there is in all big mergers, there was cultural differences between these different single mode agencies. We had a very short time from decision to implementation. In 2009, the government started an investigation to see how to do this big change, and in 2010, the new administration was in place. So there was an exceptional short time from decision to implementation. And there was also operational issues to solve. There are more than 6,000 employees in this new administration, and all practical issues like IT, budget system, economic system within the administration was also a challenge to solve in a very short time. And we've also seen that media in Sweden tends to focus on rail, and that's something we have to deal with in the administration as well. And I'm going to present some of the strengths and some of the weaknesses of this new administration, or quite new administration. We believe that multimodal planning is easier to do it's easier to make full use of the whole transport system when you have everything in the same body and the same administration, and you can plan the transport system together. Integrated planning of transport networks also makes it easier to cooperate with municipalities and with regional authorities. Large-scale organization, we think they can boost innovation and efficiency. We have some figures on that from 2012 to 2014. For example, the external productivity in the construction sector increased by about 330,000 euros. And we have seen an annual increase in productivity for 2 to 3% after that. Another example is that cost of earthworks are down 12 to 22%, depending on the kind of earthwork. And we have, there is also a case of we are a very large and we are a complex organization. So there are some challenges and some issues to deal with according to that as well. The customer handling has been easier. I think the customers that are trying to reach us in questions on the transport system and different networks, they meet single customer handling. So that is a positive effect of this administration. And we have less administration, less overhead costs. The efficiency, the internal efficiency, up to 2013, the costs were down by 260,000 euros. So we have done that as well. We believe we are a more attractive employer. When you come and search for a position in the administration, we have a lot of positions to offer, broad spectrum, and you also can change internally, so you can change from one position to another, and there is a broad range of career possibilities you can offer. And we have seen cross-fertilization of ideas and working methodologies between experts as well. One good example is that we, for example, we use the methods of the Vision Zero approach, safety and security, safety in roads. We have used that model in the railway system as well to increase traffic safety in the railway system. And some of the lessons learned is that to do such a big organizational change, it requires very strong political commitment. And if you have affirmative attitudes among the employees, as we had, it is a great advantage to have that. There are, of course, operational issues when merging such large agencies that we were, and the fact that we have different cultures has been a challenge when shaping the new multimodal administration. And of course, you know that reorganization is not sufficient. You need a new mindset among the employees, among the persons working in the new administration to get this working. And this is the new administration. We have about 6,800 employees. We have 8 regional offices in Sweden. We have a business volume for 2016 that is it's in Swedish kronas, but in euros it's about 5.4 billion euros. And you see the proportion of investments, of maintenance and operations and traffic control, and miscellaneous is mostly the planning we do for the transport system. And the task of the administration is the multimodal planning, so it's the planning of the railway, the road, the fairways, the maritime fairways, and also aviation. So we have that task, multimodal planning, and we have also the task of construction and maintenance and operations of state roads and state railways. So it's a divided task in two. And to give you an idea of the responsibility, we have about 14,000 kilometers of state rail tracks. We have about 98,000 kilometers of state roads that is in our responsibility. And you see we have also municipal streets and roads, and they are 42,000 kilometers. And we have also the responsibility of the subsidies to the private roads that are about 75,000 kilometers. And we don't have the responsibilities for the stations in the railways, but we do have the responsibility for the platforms and the platform connections in all stations in Sweden. And we also have 41 ferry lines. And some short words about what is in focus right now. Last year, we made a proposal for a new national plan for the Swedish transport system from 2018 to 2029. And the framework, the budget for this plan was 622.5 billion Swedish crowns, and that's about 62 billion euros. And for that, the government made guidelines, of course, directions on how to plan, and 33 billion euros is for investments in roads, in railways, and in fairways, mostly then. And we have 16.4 billion euros for operation and maintenance of state roads. We have 12.5 billion euros for operation and maintenance for railways, state railways. And then we have some extra income from congestion taxes, from loans, infrastructure fees, rail charges, and so on. So that's also co-financing this budget then. And the main topics, you can summarize the plan proposal in a very large focus on railway, renovation, modernization, and expansion of railways in Sweden. And it includes also 2 projects of high-speed rails in Sweden. Digitizing, new technology, research and development. We have investments to make important roads road load-bearing capacity, to strengthen road load-bearing capacity in important roads in Sweden. And also in important railway areas, we focus on investments for longer and heavier trains. We have some sea transport measures in the plan. We have also co-financing for public transit and bicycle in municipalities, in cities, for sustainable cities. And we have a focus on accessible rural areas, and that's mainly road investments in that part. Increased safety, a relaunch of the Vision Zero in Sweden, and also measures for environment and climate. And we hope that the government will make a decision this spring so that we know, so that we can set the plan for the next 12 years. Thank you.
Merci Madame. Nous avons 5 minutes pour 2 questions incisives. Merci.
First question, could you give us an example of cross-fertilization between road and rail? Because in your presentation we know that you overview everything, but how do you deal really with multi-modality?
There is a good example in the Vision Zero approach. We have worked with Vision Zero approach in the road network for a long time, and maybe you are familiar with that. Yeah, it's a special methodology, really. And we implemented that approach in the railway system as well. There are many fatalities in the railway system in Sweden. Many of them are, I don't know what to say, self-inflicted. You want to take your own life. But the Vision Zero approach makes points at measures to avoid these situations. So currently we are putting fences around railway areas in urban areas and in areas where we know that there are many accidents happening. We work that way with the road safety, with like hotspots where we have many accidents, and in the same way we do that in the railway system as well. And then we have some new innovations like camera surveillance and also a method where you cannot access the area at the tracks. You cannot walk on. You have a special surface that you cannot walk on beside the tracks. So that is a good example of cross-fertilization.
Thank you for an interesting presentation. Part of it, in relation to the transformation of the administration, was called strength and weaknesses. All the bullet points were strength. Did you skip the slide? Did you miss something? What are the weak points of this change in the organization as compared to the traditional organization?
Yeah, one of the bullet points was about we have a very large organization and a very complex structure handling both railway and road and sea measures, maritime planning and aviation planning. So it's not as easy handled as it was with single modal administration, and that might be a weakness, really. Well, yeah, and then of course it's taken time to find the good forms. We see an obvious advantage in the multimodal planning, but there might not be so many. There might also be among the employees there was some. You had the fear that your own area of specialization, your expert area, was not counted anymore. And of course it is. It's very important to have experts in different areas, in different road segments and in different areas of the railway as well. But you can also find these cross-fertilization points. So it's important to let the different expert areas develop and also to find the points of common interest, really. And we had and I think that's also always the case when you merge big administrations. there were some cultural differences. Planning railway system is different from planning a road system, and once you recognize that, and you can find the things that are special and the things that are in common, you can find a way forward, I think.
Merci beaucoup, madame. Est-ce que maintenant nous pouvons appeler soit Monsieur Vertedor, soit Monsieur Pendlebury? Ni l'un ni l'autre. Monsieur Vertedor. Est-ce que Monsieur Pendlebury est là? Il est là. Allez. Voilà, nous avons une conférence internationale en direct. Merci, messieurs.